far south as San Diego, from Beverly Hills and Santa Monica and Long Beach, Los Angeles, of course, all over Orange County, Disneyland, and in my home in Irvine, California. Absolutely. I think that may be very important for people in future generations to have that much content, to have a huge amount, 2 years of content of someone sleeping, to be able to study sleep patterns and circadian rhythms.
What we were talking about is everybody's wired, hardwired, while some people are non-believers and others are.
Great question. I had a six-figure position in software engineering prior to this for a Fortune 500. I was able to save up, so I would say several years, and really, I think perhaps with if you know anything about data, it's the world's #1 resource. So essentially, I think this data may be very valuable in the future, and may provide benefits financially that really I can't even calculate at this point. Thank you so much. Well, for the rest of my life, I'd like to. So essentially, as connectivity improves, uh, the quality of the streams will improve. I'll be able to have more of them, perhaps. Additionally, really the only thing that I think might stop me from doing it is perhaps if I found a spouse, had children. It may be considered invasive to their lives, but at least as a single man, I am really the first person to upload all of this data to YouTube and Instagram, etc., for it to be studied. It's essentially a human zoo, and I think that people, once the word gets out about it, they will connect with me, essentially knowing that at any part of their day, they can check in and see how someone is doing and see what they're doing. It's quite an interesting premise. And while people have live streamed their lives, it's not archived. This is the first one ever that has been archived in such a degree. The first person to really live stream their life and actually capitalize on it was the founder of Twitch. Essentially, he did this around 2008, but it wasn't archived in the same manner. Mine is archived so that we can go back as a civilization and watch from really the end of the pandemic through essentially the death of a queen, the birth of AI, the coronation of a king, and everything in between. It is essentially the world's largest time capsule, and certainly I do eat and sleep and do all the normal things that humans do in life. But additionally, we've watched the major documentaries that have ever been published in the history of mankind. We've read all the major books, including Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, the Bible, the Quran. Additionally, we have ensured that we watch all the major movies, and in fact, watched all the Oscar nominees this year, and have just gone through to really give humanity the most comprehensive media collection in global history. Thank you so much. I do as well, and that was actually my original motivation. The first videos that I ever had, essentially, I was videoing my golf swing in order to just improve my golf swing at the driving range. I was a member of Tiger Woods golf course here in California, and one day I realized that what I was saying as I was hitting golf balls was pretty funny. I had some funny shtick, and essentially I realized that maybe I didn't want to stop the video and see what it was like on my drive home. As I got home, I realized, you know what, there's just something really valuable in this. Maybe I should start up a YouTube channel, and eventually just did that later that night and realized that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it in the biggest way possible. And I didn't just want to capture myself in one angle. I wanted to capture myself in 360 degrees. So I quickly bought at least 4 different Chromebooks and to add to my collection 360 degrees from my face, from behind, and from the right and left of myself, and then also on the ceiling. And then I have yet another computer that features my computer desktop, so you can see absolutely everything that I'm doing on the computer. Really, I think that it's important for people to be able to see that many of the the characteristics that they have in their own life are emulated by others in society, and really look forward to a day of that day is not too far in the distant future, where essentially AI will be able to make really interesting content from just the bulk amount of media that I've placed on the internet.
That it's not neurophysiology, that it's a biological reality, as opposed to something coming out from something from beyond. If the answer is to this question that
This is a really great question. So when I first started, I was using SD cards, and then I went to terabytes, so hard drives. So I have those. I have at least 10 terabytes stored of data of just pure video, and I have an entire bag full, like a large Ziploc bag full of SD cards, yet to have uploaded to the internet. So those are some archives that I have. And then the other ways that these are stored are on the YouTube servers. So certainly I have perhaps petabytes worth of data on the YouTube servers, but then I also have quite a large amount on Instagram servers, on Facebook servers, and then additionally on Snapchat as well. What I've done is I have, if you're familiar, at least on Android devices, they're more common, but they're also available on iOS devices. Auto clippers. So essentially, it's a type of software that will auto click portions of a phone for you. And essentially, what I've done is set these up on Instagram so that they automatically upload every hour to of my life to the Instagram cloud that I don't even have to touch them. So every hour that goes by, at least seven different angles of my life are uploaded to Instagram. So you can go to my Instagram account and literally watch going back months and years, essentially every hour of my life on a different version, different angle of Instagram. So I've done my best to be as non-cancelable as possible. I realize that essentially many times celebrities and politicians can get canceled because of something they say or something they do. And so I wanted to make sure that I diversified myself so that if at least one of the platforms wasn't um, uh, uh, keen on what I had to say, that I wasn't completely cancelable. And that has made me really have to create over 100 YouTube accounts, over 100 Instagram accounts, 100 Twitch accounts, 100 Snapchat accounts, and over 1,000 TikTok accounts. So if I do get banned on one of the platforms, I have confidence that the other platforms will essentially still be able to feature my work.
So that's how I would say, you actually put a question on how
You're
did
definitely right.
so then there's the question how did life get here? And then you have to refer to the biochemistry, organic chemistry behind
That's correct. Essentially, when it comes to YouTube accounts, to give you a perspective, I have 10 times more YouTube content than Mr. Beast and PewDiePie combined. So there's only one YouTube channel that has more hours uploaded than I do. So it's known as T Series. It's the largest YouTube channel in existence. But that is essentially all of the media of India. So in relation, how much content have I put out there as one person? About the same amount as all of India has, and that's all of Bollywood and the music videos, and then millions of people. So essentially, I've done my best to um, essentially give the biggest YouTube account to run for their money. There may be questions like, well, why hasn't it caught on? Essentially, I don't have the best internet connection. I did, but it has been throttled when you live stream your life this much. Essentially, your ISP, realizes that something is going on. So it is sometimes difficult to maintain audiences, but I do have a dedicated following of about 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's just one of my YouTube accounts. I have another YouTube account with over 1,000 subscribers. So people do check in during their day, but really where I found a lot of positive positivity is on Twitter Spaces, and just over the course of the past month or so, I've gained about 1,500 organic real followers, and really I look to capitalize on that. And really, I don't do this. Sure, it's a time capsule for my children and for perhaps the world, But really, the main goal is world peace. I want to give people a platform to discuss world peace. If you remember, perhaps if you know anything about history, there were major peace movements that were made around the world, particularly in the 1960s. And those are no longer really discussed, or at least they're no longer relevant. And I want to make them relevant again. I don't think that any country has permission or the ability to invade another country. I don't think as well that anybody has the permission or the right to put their hands on anyone else. And it's basically, I'll treat you the way that you want to be treated is kind of the golden rule in society. And I'd like to see countries do that. I really also would like to see the United Nations perhaps focus on what perhaps they're there for, which is world peace, but also to help to curb world hunger. There's some technologies that we're not using that I feel like we could utilize, such as cloud seeding, such as vertical farming, such as hydroponics, to help solve some of those issues in the developing world. And then additionally, to end world thirst, there are life straws that can be used in water and also desalinization plants, essentially taking water from the ocean, moving it through a desalinization plant to create clean drinking water. I will never believe politicians and leaders when they tell us that there is a drought in anywhere on earth that isn't solvable in the modern world. If you say there's a drought, I say that we're not investing in desalinization. Really, I am just doing what I can to promote good ideas. When it comes to many times people say, at least in the case of desalinization, it uses a lot of energy, and that well may be. There's nuclear energy, there's nuclear energy that we could be utilizing, but also there are types of technologies such as tidal power that we aren't utilizing. So essentially, tidal power is the same idea that you have wind power, but just take wind turbine, put it in the ocean. When you use tidal power, it has much more force than wind turbines do. And essentially, I think throughout every coast in the entire world, we could put tidal turbines and essentially solve a lot of our energy issues.
I have to ask Aaron, you told me about the real reality. And we don't like to think that. But if we look at it open-mindedly, we have to accept that these are all relative realities based on what we were taught, what was whispered into our ears since we were a child.
So I say it's between 666 and 700 essentially. So the next major uh, highlight will be about 700. I also, it really very much well could be more than that because I do have some video, as I have said, on um, actually a lot of video on hard drives. So essentially, I started this around the summer of 2021, and again, I was just videoing my drive uh, at the driving range, and thought, you know what, maybe one day I may have kids, and they may find this interesting to see what their dad was like as a young single man, and really, from there, it's just kind of blossomed. I was inspired by the movie The Truman Show. Of course, in that movie, he did not, Jim Carrey's character did not do so, he didn't consent to that. And so I feel I have much more power in this. I can consent to this. I can always shut the cameras off whenever I want, but really, my issue is never really shutting them off. It's always ensuring that they are on. I've learned a lot about technology through this, particularly how essentially we could have a lot more interaction between apps. Essentially, apps crash. We have broadband capabilities that are lackluster. And so once this becomes big, I will really call on CEOs of technology companies to improve their software. Essentially, there are a lot of, I think, improvements that I've learned, and I could give them a lot of certain insightful insights on how these things could be improved. One other thing I'd like to say is I'm really a major advocate for women, particularly on the internet and in technology. And I say that as someone who streams their life online, and I've run into many issues when it comes to nudity, as you may understand, because you're not always allowed to be nude on certain platforms, and it really varies. On Twitter, Twitter's one of the more open, uh, open I would say, and free speech areas where you can. It may put a warning on there, but if you do it on YouTube, just depending on the context, you'll get your channel banned. And so when I say for women, women use social media to generate income. However, it is unfair and absolutely de facto discrimination, in my opinion, that I, as a man, can have my shirt off on my YouTube stream, but if I were a girl, I could not. I would get my entire account taken down. The same is true on Instagram. If I'm a man, I can be at the beach with my shirt off. But if I'm a woman, I cannot, and I'll lose my account. To me, it's de facto discrimination. And so when the stream gets big, I am going to go after people in technology because they are discriminating against women. And I don't think they realize this, but really, they're discriminating against skin. And in the same way that we've had uh, a civil rights movement because people discriminated against skin, there's also a discrimination against skin when it comes to the areola in particular, but also genitalia. But really, at this point, I think that people should be able to be shirtless and it not offend anyone. I don't think you should be able to discriminate based on skin anymore. So I would say I'm certainly an advocate for women in many different ways, but particularly on the internet. And I can't believe that these technology companies, it's taken them so long to even start to allow women to even breastfeed on social media posts. I mean, that is seen as very scandalous. In my opinion, it's discrimination. It's de facto. If you are taking down someone's account because of their genitals, based on what your interpretation of whether they should act like a man or a woman, I feel that there's an issue with that, and I'm standing up for women.
On the air with ourselves. A long time ago, my friend. We'll take a break. We'll come back and chat more. Here's Full and Utopia of San Marcos, Texas. To find out what your story is, go to the coasttocoaststadium.com website.
I'm in agreement with you. I do my best to live an Orthodox Jewish life online as best you can, but I do have some very progressive ideas, at least when it comes to how we treat each other. One in particular, and this is not certainly just a Jewish idea, this is really a global issue, is the idea of genital mutilation. I am against genital mutilation in all its forms. If you want to be an adult person or someone let's just say of adult age and you want to mutilate your genitalia, that's up to you. But I don't feel we should do this to children. And so, at least when it comes to circumcision, I I'm circumcised. I had a bris, but I would like to stop that in the future. Essentially, if you want to circumcise or be circumcised, that's absolutely fine, but I think that's an adult decision. Same with female genital mutilation. That's usually forced upon women many times on different continents, and those women don't have a voice. Basically, I am someone who doesn't think, at least as men and women as well, we shouldn't cut off our genitalia for any reason, or we shouldn't destroy our genitalia until you can do that in your own way as an adult. But we shouldn't make those decisions for minors. Now, as someone who is circumcised and has had a bris, there are certain futuristic technologies that should give us hope as men if you are circumcised as well, such as stem cells. There is technology out there to create, to regrow stem cells as a man for your foreskin. And additionally, using human growth hormone, you can have uh, a longer appendage as well. People don't know this, but also you can add to the amount of sensory nerve endings in your genitalia as well. Why would I want to do this? They were cool though. I feel like a part of the thing on this right now. You're good. Is this going in the hole? Where are you? If this is a key, it's not mode well enough. No, it's gotta be a fairway. It doesn't look like a fucking fairway. Is it still in the hole? Or you just happy about the drive? I mean, it's nice. No, this is a tee. It's a tee box. I can't see where that fucking ball's from. They need to make a thing so you can see it. It's white on white tiles. People, be like your older fucking rock said, use the fucking orange balls or something. People, I use it because I get started. But, or bright yellow. This shit is bullshit.
You want to know why the border got so out of control?
You want to know how? You did it with the shoes, dude. Everybody's seen that 1,000 times. You guys had that shit open, don't you?
Closing down the bridge even partially would be a temporary but necessary inconvenience. You know, it's experienced a lot of heavy. Says there are 3 different options for working on the bridge, and completion times vary from 12 to 30 months. Caltrans says people should get their comments in before May 12th before the department makes a decision. Chris Adler, by news.
7 people have been killed and 1,200 hurt. Part-time many people at a bus stop near the border in Brownsville, Texas. Police Lieutenant Martin Sandoval says it appears the crash may have been intentional. If it is intentional, there says it also we have to follow the certain rules before constituting and stopping. If it is intentional, we're going to try to see what help from the federal government. I think Mr. Henry, I was still calm to us. That happened at a bus stop in front of a shelter for migrants in the border city around 2:30 this morning. 15 people were killed in a mall in Texas. 8 of those girls died. Allen Police Chief Brian Harvey says a police officer was nearby, able to end the shooting before even more people were hurt.
One of our officers was on an unrelated call at the outlet mall. He heard gunshots, went to
Outlet mall. That's fucking. Where is that? What are those called? I think it's just outlet. When I was a kid, I used to think outlets were like really nice. Really? A lighthouse place. How the fuck did it know? That I was nice. That's weird. When you type in Michigan City, that's the first thing that comes up. If you just type in Michigan City, no, it's like a surgery. No, and then it doesn't go on. That's weird. You fucking see that shit? Anyway. I like how they let it. You were like, nah. Well, you're trying to get known. Oh, this is a motherfucking shooting show. Really? Yeah, somebody did make it. Right. Oh, God.
Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure before eating to assess.
Start 67 is good.
Talk to my doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is counts.
Rabbi Rothschild.
Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, and partners with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration. Yes, it was checked on Carvana. I just put my card down. I went online and Carvana gave me an offer right away. Well, it was just the card and gave me a check. Mental health awareness month. The Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health is celebrating its community event in May and June.
Thank you so much. I'm Rabbi Rothschild. I am Guinness World Record holder for most amount of hours live streamed on YouTube. So for about 2 years now, more than 666. I do so for World Peace. I want an end to war. You got that right, baby. You're live on 6 different YouTubes as we speak. You got that right. What do you want to do to the world? That's amazing. Nice to meet you as well. So you giving Wilt Chamberlain and Genghis Khan a run for their money. That's amazing. Well, what a privilege to have a billionaire contact you to repopulate the earth. That's amazing. So, what are you going to do when we have all these little ones of you running around? What are you going to do? I understand. Try to go off world because you'll have all these kids chasing you. They're going to be asking you for lunch money. They're going to ask you for college tuition. You're not going to have time for that. You're going to be slinging dicks. I understand, but people are going to want to know who the daddy is, and when they find out it's you, you might have to do that 30 seconds to Mars and help terraform Mars with Elon Musk so you can get some sleep. Thank you. Great.
back to coast, you look at only looking at the output was only Matthew, what do you think of prayer?
Well, I think that it's part of,
Alicia?
and we believe that we have the power. And again, this sort of encompasses part of the spiritual belief.
6 o'clock, baby.
That it seems to be universal in every culture believes in praise with deity, either the preaching with deity.
Exactly, I'm probably 11 minutes away on the 405.
Praying for others, praying for ourselves.
What's new in your neck of the woods?
People pray, and again, they just put in various brain scans by the neuroscientific community. And what we find is that essentially, again, it can be linked to specific regions in the brain become activated when we do pray, and it fills us with a sense of
Word. I have been using ChatGPT as well. Not using it to make money, but just using it to solve the world's problems. I find, though, it's not as useful as it was months ago, and it is progressively degrading, I guess. Essentially, the types of answers that I used to get out of it are not as beneficial. I really have to work and pull. It's like pulling teeth now to get some.
that there can be physiological effects because they're feeling that something out there is.
Well, I mean, I would ask it, I guess, on controversial subjects, and I think it's gotten better at hiding some of the answers. So I could be incorrect as well. Many times it says that it's not, like those types of things. Like even this, like I'll ask it questions about how to prevent tornadoes, and it'll say like there are no current useful technologies and how to prevent tornadoes. So essentially, then I'll have to like look up a little research, and there are you can use like wind turbines, you can use large fans, you can use explosives, you can use cloud seeding perhaps to lessen the storm. So there are some ways, and but yet it'll answer that exact question much better for hurricanes. So I just find that I just see I'm not answering it like you're saying in the correct way. I just found, when you go to jailbreakchat.com, it does have those up to date, like how beneficial the prompts are, and I find that prompts are having to get more and more complicated, which tells me ChatGPT is getting better and better at blocking some information. How do you use it to make money?
My God, someone's going to see this works. It's something there. There's something out there that generates some kind of ability to fix these things.
Sure. I mean, again,
I personally, at least today, well, just recently, I'd say in the past like 3 days, I've gotten over 100 new Twitter followers, which for a small account like mine is good, especially organically. I think my friends would probably say I'm somewhat of an extrovert, but deep down, I'm an introvert. I just like being by myself, and I don't necessarily always like interacting with people. But I said, if I'm really going to get this stream to get big, I need to introduce myself to, random rooms and tell them about my story and things. And I've gotten a lot of really great feedback recently, and so I've been going into rooms the past few days, and especially like random rooms, like NFT rooms, where they just have like a community that I'll introduce myself, tell people what I'm doing, and I've gotten some really great feedback. So I'm excited about that. Do you ever just randomly go into rooms, not necessarily just listen, but like introduce yourself and really jump in, you know, feet first essentially?
we can believe anything we want. We can believe that our prayers are actually changing things. Our God is listening, but they're listening to us and they're intervening on our behalf. But in the end, no one wants to die. So we're all praying for a loved one at some point, please, Lord, help this person. But in the end, we all die. So in the end, we could say no one's prayers are really ever, listened to by any deity. If they were, one of us by now would be experiencing immortality, would be 1,000-year-old man or woman, would be like, wow, go out there, there's
Definitely. I mean, I'm finding that, like, I just came out of a room, and by the way, I misspoke. I meant to say head first, jumping in head first. I just came, I'll go into random rooms, though, and people go, hey, this is the Truman Show guy, bring him up to speak. That's really exciting to me when, like, I just have to go into a room and people are starting to know who I am. I did have another account that I had, like, for many years that was at Rabbi ROTHSCHILD. It's like a very simple one. It had over 10,000 followers, and none of which were real, all of which were purchased. And I don't honestly believe, like, if you have 50,000 followers, in my opinion, that doesn't happen organically. If you have like 10 million followers, that definitely doesn't happen organically. The biggest account, I mean, you're someone who hosts uh, a, a show every single day, and I know other people who host shows every single day, big time shows with lots of people in them, sometimes hundreds of people in them, and they only have like 5 or 6 thousand followers. I really think those are all organic, real people. And in my opinion, there are only about 10,000 people, which is still a lot, on Twitter Spaces regularly who interact, and those are the ones that you really want. I know that with my other account, I have like 10.1 thousand followers. It cost me like $100 to buy the followers, and unfortunately, what happened over a year ago, I don't know how, but somebody got into my account and tweeted a whole bunch of crypto stuff of all the things that they were going to tweet. It's that my followers. So I'm just, I'm who cares? It's like 10,000 followers. I think people would get that back by just purchasing them. But really, that doesn't do anything for you. It's about organic people. And it's exciting to me when I start walking into rooms virtually or in such. People know who I am, they know my story, and they're excited about it. So I think that's really cool. And if you do ever have the opportunity, oh, thank you. If you do ever have the opportunity, it's an interesting experiment to just basically jump in and try to network and have to necessarily show yourself, but essentially sell yourself to the room and then go into another room and just keep doing it and see how many followers you can get. Uh, in my opinion, you can get hundreds a day, or at least I've gotten about 100 a day, and but even more than that, just having people have awareness of what you're doing is very exciting. To me, it could be any day that my stream could go viral, and that's very exciting because once it does, Logan, you're not going to have to look up ways to make money anymore. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of Mars. I'm going to take care of the woman and Alicia and all the others. I'm going to take care of Sally Rogers and all our friends, Taylor, everybody. We're all going to be billionaires and trillionaires.
Because we're in Revelation right now, sir. God does say in, I think it's
You might have to concentrate because they're going to want to watch you do art and perhaps cook. So you might even have like your own YouTube stream or something. I know because, well, I say this, I know, but I mean, essentially, like anybody who's on my stream is going to, in their own way, be a little bit of a celebrity themselves, and they'll have their own followings, and I'm sure people are going to want to see what you do. Mark, what kind of art do you do?